Carrie.
Hey, Sandra.
And we should do it more like our guest today. We should be like, hey, Carrie.
Hey, Sandra.
Whoa, who do we interview today?
Oh my gosh. Okay, our viewers are not even going to know what to think about this. This is so awesome, fabulous, awesome sauce fabulousness.
Yeah,
okay.
We kind of went out of the box today.
We did, but mainly to show the parallels between our business and his. Yes. His name is Thomas Williams. We call him Tom, from the heavy metal band Stray from the Path. That was what started his whole career. But he not only is a guitarist for that, but he is also a guitarist for the band Trade Winds, which is an indie band. And he's also the co-founder of Other People Record Company. So he is helping produce other bands, other artists. I mean, this man is sick, insane, talented, unbelievable.
Does not sleep, self-taught.
Yep.
He writes the music. Taught himself how to write music, taught himself how to play the guitar. It is fascinating, this conversation, and there's a lot of information.
Absolutely, especially because during the pandemic, I mean, think about it, people, we're not allowed back in the opera houses to sing. Can you imagine heavy metal concerts with mosh pits and all this? He, in his words, it's going to be the last thing to come back to fruition again. How are these artists surviving and making money and all this kind of stuff? So fascinating conversation. They're having same issues as all the opera singers with visas. This is crazy, people. Yep. Stay tuned to this. This is really worth hanging out for the hour to hear what this awesome person has to say. Oh my God, I can't wait to go to one of his concerts. I'm like, please bring it back, people. We need to give back to what we do, which is making music and sending a message.
And he comes to Europe, so check out this clip. Bye.
Bye. Stay safe, people.
The younger bands I manage, like little things where I'm just like, you know what's important? Like where everyone thinks like, oh, you got to practice, you got to get whatever. I'm like, what's important is that on day one of a tour and you're touring with bands you never met before, go introduce yourself. You know what I mean? Like go say hello, say thank you for taking us out. Like I'm, fill in the blank name. Like I really appreciate you. Like that stuff went a long way. I don't know where I learned that stuff from, but I would always made sure that I was very polite and always was very thankful to the people that helped us out early on. And like, I used to do weird things though. Like, and this is where I was like subconsciously managing the band early on when I didn't even know. It's like, I'd be like, oh, I hear of a tour coming up, like that someone's putting together and we don't have a tour. I'm going to find his number and call him. I don't know this person. And I would straight up call them and I'd be like, hey, like I play for Stray from the Path. Like, here's the record we're going to put out soon. Like you're doing a tour. I'd love to do it. And they were like, who is this? Like, excuse me, Mm-hmm. So he's like weird things like that I think that I didn't even think about. Like, it just didn't even cross my mind that this was weird, but I just did it. And, and I think that kind of like, I guess fearlessness or just like no care and like where I would just talk to anyone, like that's a huge like attribution to have when you're like talking about managing bands or signing bands or anything like that.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, he's connecting to audio.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Check 1, 2, 3. Check.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
That's a heavy sigh. That sounds like I'm good, but
I just literally, what did I get home? What's today? Sunday? Yeah, Friday. I was gone from July 1st till Friday, which is only 2 weeks in a day, which isn't so bad. I'm usually gone longer than that, but haven't been gone in 2 years. And we were doing like 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. like sessions, and I'm just fried. So I'm just like, this is my first weekend of doing nothing in a long time. So like, if you hear the sigh, it's just because I'm like, what
thanks
day?
for joining us because it's.
Oh no, of course, yeah. I'm not I wouldn't have done this if I didn't think I was ready.
You know what? Hi, I'm Sandra, but
hello, Sandra.
I just got back to doing a full opera schedule too. Like I had only done one performance here or a concert there or blah, 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 but not a full run of an opera. And I got to tell you, my body's going, fuck you, Sandra.
Yeah, I bet. I literally fear when I go back on tour because I'm just going to be like, I'm going to be dead. So
Well,
more power to you.
So
Glad you get into it sooner than I do.
what were you doing sessions for? Is this a new album?
Yeah, so we did it's weird. So we were like looking for things to do because like a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I mean, I didn't even know if our band was gonna make it, because it was like, our drummer's in England, um, our singer, who is American, was in France, and then our bass player's in New Jersey, and I'm here, and no one knows what's gonna happen in the music industry, and especially like metal shows are like, you know, hot, sweaty, everyone all over each other, so it's like, are these ever gonna come back, So like we were searching for stuff to do, and we had a song off of our 2017 album that didn't go on the album, and it had no vocals. So we were like, we have this just sitting there, let's record some vocals and go over it. And then we did it, and we are like, this is cool, but like we might as well just do a new song. Like this doesn't even feel like our band now, it's 4 years later. Then we did a new song, and we're like, oh well, if we're gonna do a song, let's write a bunch of songs. And then we wrote 5 songs. We're like, we should put an EP out, and then we sent it to our drummer, who couldn't even be there for it, and he was just like, this is like our best stuff, this should just be the start of our next record. And we were like, cool. So it started from a B-side to a single to an EP, and then just became our full length. So back in November of 2020, we did half of it, and we just went back to do the second half of it.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's a new record.
Do you record all together? Because I made a CD before where everyone else had done it. We had all done it remotely. We just listened to the tracks, and one by one they kept adding the voices. Do you do it all in the same room?
We do it all in the same room. So actually it's weird. So I've been in this band for a really long time. But I would say like the start of our band was like 2008. And then from 2008 until 2015, we had one drummer, and he left in 2015. And then my whole thing was, if we didn't find someone to replace him that was as good or better, I was just done. Like, cause I was like, I've seen bands downgrade in drummers and they're dead. Like you just in metal, it's like the most important thing. Even if people don't realize it, like they can subconsciously feel if it's not there. So that was in 2015. And then we remembered our drummer quit at the time unexpectedly. And we actually, it was 2 weeks before a tour. He was like, yeah, I'm not coming. We were like, you gotta come. Like, bro, so it was like kind of a personal thing. It wasn't just like, oh, fuck you guys. It was like he had something happen in his family. He's like, I can't leave anymore. And we're like, listen, if you need to leave the band, that's fine, but you can't just leave us hanging. So anyway, we went through where one of our like best friends is this band called Architects, and they're from England, and we met them in 2008, and it was in Johnson City, Tennessee, where you can imagine not a lot of metal shows go. And this band from England, they come over to America, and their first show ever in America is in Johnson City, Tennessee.
Whoa.
And they're just like culture shock like crazy. And we showed up, and we didn't know them, and we're just like, oh, what's up? Like, hey, let us show you around, like whatever, like. And we've literally stayed best friends for like 13 or 14 years. It's crazy.
Cool.
And so we toured with this band, took us over because we were like so like friendly and nice with them. They took us over to our first England tour in 2011, I think. And their drummer had a drum tech, and his name was Craig, and that's who is now our current drummer, because we met him then, and he was awesome, and we like got along super well. Because for us, we are super I don't know if you've ever seen the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but like we always compare ourselves to them, where we're just a lot.
Yeah.
Like, we're all New Yorkers. Like we don't stop talking, which you'll experience here. I don't shut up.
I got that already. Yeah.
So we're all very loud and like kind of talk over each other, we'll yell at each other, and we'll give each other shit. And so it's like we knew we could find a good drummer, but we needed to find someone that could stand being around us for a long time. So, and this guy Craig is like, he was just like us, but in English form. And anyway, I was scrolling on Facebook, and he was just said like some joke or whatever like that. And this was like minutes after our drummer quit. And I saw him, and I took a screenshot, and I sent it to my singer and bass player. And I was like, this is our guy. And everyone's like, fuck yeah, we got to ask him. Anyway, he joined. So why this is all like kind of relevant to my band's history is up until then, I wrote basically everything, like lyrics,
Okay.
music, like I wrote all of it. And it was extremely stressful. And a lot of that is probably because I'm kind of a control freak when it comes to that stuff. And I'm also just like, I die for it. So like I'm up at 4 a.m. writing shit and,
Oh.
like which Carrie, my wife, I'm sure will tell you, like, I'm like a night owl and I do that shit. So now anyway, when Craig comes in, our chemistry is just like absolutely synced up right away. And we write a lot of stuff together. I remember the first record we did with him in 2017, we went up to a room and I had like 8 songs finished that I did on my own. And then we got in a room together and we wrote 4 songs just that were brand new, like out of nowhere, that we didn't plan. I didn't even have anything prepared, neither did he. And we just came up with it. And it's like, so anyway, me and him are doing really good. So this record we're doing right now, we actually did a lot of it on stream, like on Twitch, where I would write a riff on stream and then I'd be like, all right, Craig's going to write to this tomorrow. Come tune back in. And then people would come in the next day and be like, all right, let's listen to Tom did. Listen to it. And they play drums to it. And then he'd send me the drums and stuff. And so we put this together kind of on stream, which was kind of crazy.
Wow.
So anyway, what I'm getting to is we wrote a lot of this stuff remotely, kind of like what you said, Sandra, all the way back to what your first question was. So my drummer and I, we work really well together. We wrote this record together, which was like probably the first record where it was solely like 50-50 for me, which is really, it was great. It was fun and it takes a lot of pressure off of me. And it's our best stuff. So like, I'm super happy with it. So, but then I go to New Jersey and then my singer was there, my bass player's there, our producer was there. Our drummer couldn't get there because he's English and there's a travel ban still. So he literally got approved for a visa. Then, but then it didn't matter. He had to get a thing called an NIE, which was like getting an exception to break the travel ban, and he got denied for that twice.
Essential worker or something, yeah.
It was kind of insane because then I'm like starting to hear from other bands that are way bigger than ours that like generate way more money for the U.S. economy. They're getting denied, so I'm like, we're screwed. And then I told our record label, I was like, hey, like this is gonna get delayed. Our drummer can't get in, and we're not gonna record without him. And then someone that they just hired, they were like, oh, actually, I know someone at the embassy. And we're like, well, that's crazy. Gets him an appointment, but he didn't get an appointment till August 3rd. So, but we're going to go. So we did everything but the drums.
Okay.
So August 3rd, he gets his appointment. And if everything goes well, he's coming to America. Then we're going to go back up, finish the record, shoot some music videos, all that stuff.
Oh man. Now this is the hard rock band.
Correct.
Not the indie band.
Correct.
Okay. I need to just say this for our listeners because our listeners are like, what in the world is going on?
Sorry.
No, because we talk about opera and talk to people from all over the world about opera, but this is what I find, that story is so fascinating because it's the same. Yeah. Because what opera singers are dealing with, they're trying to get into the US for this coming season is an absolute nightmare, which is what you're talking about with your drummer. And you and I are connected through your wife. Cher, who is really, this family that you have and the new little one, can't wait to see what her talents are because you guys are like mega talented people. Your wife does this, makes this gorgeousness happen on the top of my head.
Blonde.
She made me blonde from black hair, healthy, took a year. Yeah, your wife is crazy, insane, talented. Anyway, love her. So through this whole pandemic, she and I we've, talk about everything anyway. But then we start talking about you and I thought, oh my gosh, we are all, no matter what lane we're in musically, are all dealing with devastation. Right. And all of a sudden what you do, which is you have a band called Straight from the Path. There are numerous metalcore. I read that it could be called metalcore, hardcore punk, rapcore, rap metal. So you can correct me on that. But that was your first band that you were original
co-founder.
Co-founder.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I wanted to say is this conversation was, I'm so glad you said yes, because I wanted this conversation so that our world can see that this is happening everywhere and that we're all connected. And what this means for you, because like what you said with metal bands, there's mosh pits, you're in tight spaces. How in the world is this ever going to come back?
And also, like in China, you're not allowed to play loud or fast music right now because it spreads COVID.
I mean probably true.
Who thinks of this though?
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
know.
know,
But yet we're watching like full stadiums of people singing and yelling and screaming, and yet we can't get back in and do what we do. That's a whole other thing. Anyway,
soccer
so
thing.
I just wanted to like start there with you, and then because you are so fascinating with how many hats you have on your head.
Sure.
So not only with Stir from the Path, but you're also I don't know if you say co-owner or co-founder
Of what?
of Tradewind, of your other
Oh,
band
yeah,
called
it
Tradewind.
would be like original member. That's I think the
Original
Okay.
member, okay, of Tradewind. And then you also own a record label company, is that correct?
correct. Yeah.
I mean,
It's called Other People Records. I do that with my partner Jesse and Savannah too, and Alex. Like we have like that's the one thing that has actually done very well over the pandemic. Where
okay.
so I also I don't know if I cut you off and started talking
No,
before I was supposed
no,
to.
you're totally great. I just needed to like preface, and I talk a lot too in like roundabout and dyslexic ways, so it drives Sandra crazy, I know. But
That's why we get along though, like because it's like you're like you said, we're like the same. Like when I talked to you, like or even when I first met you, I was like, that's just like me. It's crazy.
Shiny object. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
I can be the same way though, so I get it. I also do, I guess just for the sake of it, and it's crazy because it's gonna sound like I like talking about myself, but I hate it. But I still can't like stop. It's crazy. Anyway, I also do band management at a company called Tandem, and I manage my own band, Stray from the Path.
Right.
A band called Counterparts,
Okay.
band called Dying Wish, Miss May I, Greyhaven, Unity TX, and a band called Lionheart. And like so, I do that. I do the record label that has like
Crazy.
and a lot probably 8 to 10 active artists with a couple that are signed but not announced.
Okay.
Then I do Tradewind with Jesse, who is the singer of Tradewind, who's also my partner at the record label, which is where those both came together. Where he also if we talk about Always Sunny, like there's the thing with Charlie where he's putting stuff together. You know, that's basically what this is.
Okay.
So anyway, Jesse is one of my best friends. He also plays in a band called Stick to Your Guns. They're like a hardcore metal band too. Like, and we tour together a lot, and we would hang out a bunch on tour, and then we'd get along. And then he was just like, "Let's start a band together." So we started Tradewind, and we're like, "Who's gonna put this out?" Like, "Oh, let's start a record label together and put this out." And then they've both become like their own things now.
But Tradewind isn't. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
his vocals are really amazing.
Yes.
He is like disgustingly impressive, that guy. Like he is so talented, like and if you hear him in Tradewind, like in Tradewind he's an exceptional singer, and he also plays guitar in that band. And then he plays for his solo artist is called Wish You Were Here, and then he's in a punk band called Ways Away, and then his main band is metal hardcore band called Stick to Your Gun. So he's the same thing.
So he sings, does he sing in his metal band?
He sings in his metal band.
And then he sings, I mean, would you call it indie music is what Tradewind is?
I'd say
and he sings that?
rock, yeah. He sings
Does
in that.
he ever lose his voice?
Yeah.
He did once. So we've been best friends forever, and like I've known him for over a decade. And there was one time where actually he was on a tour that came to Nashville, and it was like the first or second days, and we were watching him, and Sherilyn was there for this too, and we're watching him, and his voice goes out on stage like completely. And then we left after. He wasn't the headline band, he was the main support band. And so after his set we left, and we were in the car, we were going to get food, and he couldn't literally make words. And I was like, whoa. He actually made 2 words to me, and like the only words that he could speak out to me that was like this. It was like that. He was, "I'm scared," and I was like, "Oh fuck!" Like, holy shit, this is real. Yeah, I was like, "This is real." So they actually ended up like the only tour they've ever pulled off of in their lives was that tour that I saw him on. That was like maybe 2016. But other than that, no. Like he's good now. Like he just learned. Like, you know, sometimes when it comes to hardcore metal, uh, um, sometimes you like people like hear like, "Oh, you're screaming," like whatever. Like there's techniques to do that, and some people just like, even myself, like I'll do backing vocals for my band, and I don't know what I'm doing because there's not a lot of it, so I just literally just scream at the top of my lungs, you know. But that's wrong. And then like, so I was at the day before the studio, me and my bass player, we do the backing vocals. Like because there's not that many, I don't care to learn because I'm just so busy with everything. But like we'll do all of our vocals in like an hour and a half, and then at the end of the hour and a half, we're like, "Shit, my throat hurts." I'm like, you know, so
You warm up or do you just
No,
do
I
it?
don't. It's so stupid, but like you should. And like he wasn't doing that. The singer in my band, he does it too. Like, so there's a lot of vocalists. Like once you do it full time, then you invest all your time into learning that, and then you can do it for a month without losing your voice. So I mean, and if you heard all of Jesse's projects, like Trade Wind, there's like singing and then really loud singing, but and then in Stick to Your Guns, he's like screaming and singing, and then in Wish You Were Here, he's like very softly singing because it's like
Right.
Sufjan Stevens kind of like almost stuff. And then he's in a band called Ways Away, which is all like yelling punk like kind of singing. So he does all of it, and he's the exact same with me, where he takes on too much shit, and it's like, which is why we get along together too. So yeah, I wear all those hats. I don't know why. It's just what I feel like what I love and what I know I'm good at, because I didn't go to college. Like,
Well, that's what we wanted to ask. How
yeah.
did
Yeah.
you, where was your inspiration for getting into this, or did it just kind of fall into your lap?
And
Um,
we need to tell people what you do. I mean, you play guitar. That's your
correct.
instrument.
Correct. Yeah. So I play guitar in Stray from the Path and Trade Wind. And then, for Trade Wind, it's all very collaborative. For Stray, I wrote almost everything up until, 2017, where our drummer came in, and now it's very collaborative. And I'm not saying that like my guys do nothing. Like they definitely, I bring them the songs, and then sometimes they don't change. Sometimes they change completely, so,
Mhm.
and then also our producer, Will, he, he's also very involved. He's basically a member in the band. He's done the record we just did is our 6th record in a row with him.
Mhm.
And so he's one of my best friends too, like, came to my wedding and all that shit, so like we're a very tight knit group. And then I run other people records with Jesse. And then I manage at Tandem Management. I manage like 6-7 bands. So I don't know. I just got into it. Like, I don't even remember how, but like we started Stray when I was literally 14. So like I hate saying that because I'm fucking 34. So it's like, oh, you've been in a band for 20 years? Like, what a loser. But it's like, no, like we're in, I started when I was 14 with my friends, and it was me and 4 other people that aren't even in the band anymore. And then it just evolved. And then, so I guess that was like 2002. And then it evolved in like 2008. Drew, our current singer, joined. And then so that's like and then we got signed on that, and so like that's like where like the actual timeline is like
Okay.
2000.
You taught yourself how to play guitar
Yeah, I mean, to an
and write
extent.
music?
I'm sorry, say it again.
You taught yourself to play guitar and write music?
Correct, yeah. So I would attribute a lot of that to, so when I started Straight from the Path a long time ago, we had 2 guitar players, and the other guitar player's name was John. And still like my childhood best friend, and we still talk and shit, and I always will consider him like a brother. But he taught me how to play guitar, like kind of like Mr. Miyagi kind of style, where I didn't even know. And and it's crazy because like I play a lot like him, and I don't even notice it, so, but like I didn't take lessons or anything like that. Like I literally just picked it up and just started figuring it out. I learning like Rage Against the Machine songs, which is like my favorite band, and which my band sounds a lot like. And we would my friend, I remember like my friends would teach me over like the cordless phone. Like he'd be like, all right, now do this with your finger, stuff like that. And I would learn to play Rage songs. And then once I could play a Rage song, and then another Rage song, and then another Rage song, I'd be like, oh, I'm the best, and then you start like kind of figuring out. And then now that I've been playing guitar for as long, I'm like, with the exception of like the solos and the weird stuff that Tom Morello does, they're not that hard. You know what I mean? So it's like, but because Rage was such a like iconic band and like gods to me, like I was like, I could play what he's playing. I could play my own stuff, and it just kind of unraveled from there. And then, what were you gonna say, Carrie?
I was going to say, I when I went down the rabbit hole of researching you, you are extremely celebrated and well known for your riffs, for your tones, for the sounds that you bring to it. It is uniquely yours. No one else has copied this. No one else can reproduce it. There was even a segment where I saw that you actually taped over your pedals because you didn't want to give away or have other people steal your ideas or whatever. It was really incredible. So I am actually massively impressed with you teaching yourself, just by ear over the phone or somebody telling you over the phone. And then you have made this yours and made it so that people want to talk to you and want to know what you do and listen to you for that in these records. So that's amazing.
Massive talent, massive passion. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's all extremely nice things to say. I appreciate that. And I mean, Carrie, that's good research, because I used to do that like a long time ago. Because I used to do all these like weird, where They're definitely stuff that I've made on my own, and like stuff that I think are definitely proprietary to mine and my band. But
Mhm.
it all stems from like Tom Morello for sure. Where I watched an interview Tom Morello did with Guitar World, like, I don't know, 15 years ago. And he goes, we signed Rage signed their first record deal, and they give you like X amount of money for gear. He's like, so I would go and buy the gear with all the cool lights, and they looked cool, and then I'd throw the manuals out and figure it out, and I'd make weird
Oh,
stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get pedals and make weird stuff, and just not like, that's just what I would do. So then I made my own weird stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like
okay. Yeah.
I did kind of, I learned from him a lot, and then did my own thing. But in my space, like, yeah, I guess it's something that people weren't really doing. And I would do that. There's this one song where I literally would make my guitar sound like like a laser gun, and like, and that was like one of the songs where we started getting popular with, because people were like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yes.
And then
How'd
I
you do
remember,
that?
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember I started playing a show, and someone came over to my pedal board as I was just setting up, and took a picture of it. And I was like, "You just take a picture of my pedal board?" They're like, "Yeah, I got to figure that thing out somehow." I was like, "All right,
Oh,
fuck you." So
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
started taping over my stuff, which I don't do anymore, because now I like to give it away. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, whatever. Yeah, you want to see my tricks? Sure, I don't care.
But you're
But at the time,
established now, you know? It's like
yeah,
people know who you are. But at the beginning, that's like somebody copying our vocal technique or
yeah,
listening to us warming up, and it's very individual, and it's very private in a way that,
yeah.
you don't
And,
always
and
want to share.
that's what makes you special in your own way too. It's like where everyone is, but I started to look at it this way, where I'm like, okay, I saw the Tom Morello video that inspired me to go do my own thing.
Yeah.
So if someone's going to see my stuff and just take my stuff, then whatever, they'll figure it out somehow. But if they see my stuff and then it makes them want to do something different, that's cool. And
yeah.
if they want to innovate off of the stuff that I've been thinking of, awesome. And I'm very much like now, like, so we're been a full-time band touring 6 or 7 records out. Like, it's time for us to pass the torch a bit. Not saying that we're like
Yeah.
slowing down, you know what I mean? But like a lot of bands would, when we were young, like the bands that I looked up to would start to take us on tour and teach us stuff, and like,
Okay.
Mentoring. It's a natural part of the music business, I think. You've
definitely,
learned and you've probably gleaned so much information from other people, and it's history to just pass it on,
right.
and
And
Tell me.
without even knowing, like completely, like completely subconscious, you know what I mean? Where I'm like learning stuff, and that's why, like if I manage bands too, like like the younger bands I manage, like little things where I'm just like, what's important? Like, where everyone thinks like, oh, you got to practice, you got to get whatever. I'm like, what's important is that on day one of a tour, and you're touring with bands you never met before, go introduce yourself. You know what I mean? Like, go say hello, say thank you for taking us out. Like I'm, fill in the blank name. Like, I really appreciate you. Like, that stuff went a long way. I don't know where I learned that stuff from, but I would always made sure that I was very polite, and always was very thankful to the people that helped us out early on. And like, I used to do weird things though, like, and this is where I was like subconsciously managing the band early on, when I didn't even know. It's like, I'd be like, oh, I hear of a tour coming up, like that someone's putting together, and we don't have a tour. I'm gonna find his number and call him. I don't know this person, and I would straight up call them, and I'd be like, hey, like, I play for Stray from the Path. Like, here's the record we're gonna put out soon. Like, you're doing a tour, I'd love to do it. And they were like, who is this? Like, excuse me,
Mhm.
So he's like weird things like that, that I think that I didn't even think about. Like, it just didn't even cross my mind that this was weird, but I just did it. And and I think that kind of, like, I guess, fearlessness, or just like no care, and like where I would just talk to anyone, like that's a huge like attribution to have when you're like talking about managing bands or signing bands or anything like that. Um and
it's
I
a
just
gift.
did it. Makes no sense. That's got to be
You
like the
got the
Long
gift of
Island of me.
gab.
The
You
gift
know,
of
that's
gab.
that's what
Yeah.
my grandma always called it. You got the gift of gab.
I think that's really actually important, especially for we've got a lot of young artists, up and coming young singers that watch what we do. And that's one thing that Sandra and I've talked about, is that do not be afraid to go talk to the people that have worked longer than you, people that you admire, or people, anything. Do not be afraid to go ask, because most of the time we want to talk to you too. We want to answer those questions. I remember as a young artist in one of the big young artist programs, we had to do this. We called it Death by Aria, where everybody in the business comes and listens to these young singers sing. And I went to the administration, asked for a list of all the people that were listening to me that day. And I sent out emails to all these people, not knowing that really you're not supposed to do that, but I didn't care. I was just like, hey, I just wanted to know what you thought is, what can I improve on, blah, blah, blah. Do you know how many people got back to me and talked to me, and I got jobs from that just because I had enough, cojones like you did to say, hey, can we come tour with you? Why not? It doesn't hurt to ask. You always have to be polite and respectful, but it doesn't hurt to ask. What's the worst case scenario? They don't respond or they say no. I mean, okay.
Like I always say, I don't know who told me this younger on, but the only question that's dumb is the one you don't ask. Like the worst thing to say is like, who's gonna go ahead and be like, you know what? Fuck you. This is against our lines, like of code. You can't be emailing us. Like, don't reach out. It's like no one's gonna say that. They'll either ignore it or they'll get back to you and be like, hey, this is really nice. Thank you. Like, here's what I think. Like you care about what I think. Like they like that. Like So
No,
I
it's the worst thing they can say is no.
Right.
Exactly.
And that doesn't hurt your ego because nothing gained, nothing lost, nothing gained. I mean, just
there you go, girl. Okay, talk to me about what the future is for not Tradewind Band, but for Stray from the Path as far as live performances. What does that look like for you?
So I gotta admit, I'm definitely getting a little scared this week because I saw a Foo Fighter show at the Forum got canceled. The Yankees Red Sox game got canceled the other day.
Yeah.
And the cases are all crazy again. I'm like, fuck, don't do this to me. But here's the thing: they're not gonna lock down again. Like the country would freak out. And so I don't know. I mean, we have a festival in England in 6 weeks. I don't have any plane tickets bought. I don't have anything. I got nothing because I'm just like, if the second I buy a flight and then the second they cancel it and then I go, can I have my money back? They go, no, you can have a flight credit. And I got money sitting there for flight credit that I don't know when I'm going to use, So I haven't bought it. I haven't bought shit. Then we have a tour in February of next year. And I mean, that's like, we are the one of three. So the opening band for like an arena tour over there. And it's like
Europe. In Europe or in
England.
Europe and England. Yeah. I forget they're different now. So yeah, Europe and England. And it's like 5,000 to 6,000 capacity rooms, like big stuff. So it's like, and those tickets are selling. That's the thing. Tickets are selling for everything like crazy. But yeah, like, let's go, right? But I'm like, okay, I hope so, so we do February of next year, and then we don't have anything until August.
I can help you with.
So, and then in August.
Sorry, my watch just answered you. Somehow something you said like went to Google or Apple or whatever, and it started answering you. Okay, I'm so sorry I interrupted you. Anyway, touring England, February.
Are you nervous about it? Are you nervous about performing with that many people?
No, I bring a mask with me everywhere. I'm fully vaccinated. My band is either fully vaccinated or going to be. So is our crew. So I'm like, what else do you want me to do? You know what I mean? Like, if you tell me like it's jump and I'll say how high, I feel like it is our duty to keep the people that go to the show as safe as possible. And if getting vaccinated is one thing, then cool. We've done it or we'll do it. So I don't really worry about getting sick. I mean, I don't know if either of you did get sick over this past year and a half. I did too. It definitely sucks. And like, the thing is, like, I was sick for like 20 days. I couldn't imagine being away and being sick for 20 days. And like, so that's one thing. So, I'll carry a mask with me everywhere. And I mean, I don't really know what's going to happen. I don't know about like, cause normally like, I also will go out into the crowd and just talk with people and like, and I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. But I definitely miss it. I'm not nervous about going back. I'm more of just nervous about going back. And let's say I play 5 shows and they go, oh, you got to go home. Cause that happened to me. Like for a band I manage, they literally, they're a very young band. They're called Unity TX. And they're from Texas and like, they've never been on a plane before kind of stuff. And like, they literally had a European tour on March 11th. So they flew on March 9th, landed in March 10th, played one show March 11th, and then had to leave the next morning. and it has destroyed this band, destroyed them financially, spirit, like why, like they were set, like they had a year that like a band like that could, couldn't pay for. And they had all this like hype in the world and all this stuff, and then it just killed them. And then so like that, them having to go through that, which I had to go through with them, was a absolute nightmare. And so I get very worried about that, of like, because I also know bands. There's a band from Australia that came over and played one show in LA, and like it was a big show, like 1,000 people, like that's a big deal for an Australian band, right? And they kill it, and then they had to go home the next day. That band probably lost $100,000 each, like not each, easy, like murdered. And so I get worried about that, of like, all right, like let's pay for this, because you put up all the money up front, you know what I mean? Like in Europe, like in America, we're still kind of a small band. Like we'll play to like 300 to 500 people if we headline, and we'll do like good support stuff where like we'll support bands that draw like 1,000 people, and that's like, it's decent in America, but like we haven't really grown from that. Like, we're a very let's call it polarizing political band.
We have to
And
talk
we're,
about that now
We
too,
wanted
don't
to ask you about
we can
that
get
too.
into that. But we're very, very left leaning, which, depending on where you are, flies or doesn't fly.
Mhm.
And so in America, it's kind of a nightmare. And again, we've kind of plateaued, and that's fine. Like we're comfortable with what, but in Europe and England and Australia, like we're definitely starting to become a bigger band.
Right.
And where we know that if we go and play like London, we start off, we play the 300 capacity room. We're like, cool, that was good. Then we go up, we do a 500, we sell that out, cool. And then most recently, we did an 850 cap room in London and sold that out. And we're like, we sold it out 6 weeks in advance. So I was like, man, we
Wow.
really probably could have done like
that's big.
1,200. Yeah, for us, that's the biggest show we've ever headlined, honestly.
Wow.
And it was like the best. It was like the best day ever. And then like now we're like planning to do like for us overseas, like I have plans out to 2026, where like we do 2019, we do this 850 cap room and we sold it out. And then in 2022, we're doing a 1,500 cap room. And if we sell that out, and then 2024, we're going to do a 3,000 cap room. And if
Okay.
we sell that out, we're going to, in 2026, we're going to do a 5,000 cap room. Like we're
Okay.
just keep going until they tell us they're not buying tickets, right? And so overseas, we have to fly. We need to get work visas in some places. We tour in a tour bus, which you have to pay up front for a deposit. We fly our crew over. Like it
And you
is.
pay for all that? That all comes out of the revenue?
Yeah, we put it up front, and then we make it as we play. So if we put it all up front, and then 5 days later they say you go home, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. Yeah. So
Wow.
that's what worries me. I'm not scared of being sick. I'm not scared of, like I obviously don't want to be sick because it was terrible. But like that. So I'm more worried about, because the thing is, we've gotten zero help from the government. I've been waiting on unemployment since July of 2020. Because the thing is, like, I make my money, like the record label was a money pit up until the pandemic, honestly. And then the pandemic, it did really well. But then my management, which was my main income, and then Straight from the Path, which was my main income, those were both dead. So it was good that one business at least did well, and then the other two suffered. So I haven't gotten any help, like, which it's like, obviously I'm fortunate. My wife does well, like it's not like we were out on the street. So I try not to like complain about it, because I do know people that were, the people
Right.
had to like move back with parents and stuff like that. And
Right.
so I'm very fortunate in that case, but I do pay taxes, and I'm like, that's supposed to be there for me if I needed it. I've never used unemployment in my entire life.
Yep.
And that's why I was like, okay, so now I'm actually unemployed, and they've just been absolutely, like, the last time I talked to unemployment, like, they're like, oh, it's all been escalated to priority, and we're
Ask Gary about it. She can help you. How many hours did you spend on the phone, Gary?
And you can't, I mean, like when you call, they boot you off after 20 minutes. So then you can sit in a chat. I sat waiting to talk to somebody for 8 hours one day on a
I've
chat.
done that.
and then it's closed. So
Yeah.
then the next morning I thought, okay, we're just going to I'm going to get up at 7 and just start hitting it. And I don't know if this was divine intervention or whatever intervention you want to call it, but the girl that answered the phone was an opera singer, young opera singer. And she was like, oh, I totally understand what you do. Hold on, let me go look through this stuff. And it was just a matter of getting rid of red buttons, getting rid of red flags, and reissuing it. I could have, I don't even know her name because she, you can't do that. But I could have reached through the phone and just hugged her.
But yeah, like the amount of times like I've 6:59 with the number ready to go and I'm ready to press it. And then as soon as it goes 7, hit it and then go 1 and then 3 so that I could join the queue right away. That's the only way I could talk to someone. And then they tell me every time like, no, it's all good. It's waiting for an adjudicator to look at it. And I'm like, who's this fucking adjudicator? And they're like, yeah, they're like, oh, we can't give you that thing. I'm like, well, I was like, yeah, I bet, because they're fucking the devil.
Yes.
So I would do this and I'm like, all right. So the last call I had was actually this was on chat, and so it wasn't the last because I called afterwards, because once they said it, I was furious. They said in the chat, oh, it's currently under review to find out if your business was affected by the pandemic or not. And I said, like, name another fucking industry. Name another one. Name another one impacted worse than music. Name one. It's not movies because they're being made. It's not sports because they're playing full things. Like, name one. And you know, if you want to even like shrink it down smaller, like, yeah, music's coming back. Cool. The Foo Fighters can play at Madison Square Garden. Awesome. Good for them. What about my band? You know what I mean? Like shrink it down. Restaurants came back. A comedy came back. It all came back except for music. All of it. And like as it's coming down, like the as it shrinks down, like the last one back will be metal, 100%. So I'm like literally in the worst industry you could be in.
Exactly. So can you use this for songs?
Oh,
Like, is it like inspiration for writing a whole new album? Like,
I mean, the entire
I know
the entire new record is all about this shit. And to me, I'm just like, I'll put it in a nicer way, because you know we literally just made it and it's probably not going to come out until next September, not even the one coming up, like 22. It's all about, you know, a figurative way of saying that these people that have fucked us they need to get what they deserve. That's basically about it, you know. In my music it's easy to do that, you know, because it's like it's all angry screaming shit. And that's what we do in the past, you know what I mean, like. And you know, like in 2016 we put out a song we put it out on election day, and it was called The House Always Wins. And we were just like, you know, because at the time I was very anti-voting, right? And where I was just like, to me, if I vote, that's a vote in favor of the system,
right,
the two-party system, which I don't back.
right.
So I'm like, why am I like Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump? I was like, I don't want either of them, you know. And I was a very big Bernie Sanders supporter, and I still am to an extent. And you know, I'm watching Bernie Sanders draw crowds of 100,000 people, and I'm watching literally Hillary Clinton draw crowds less than my own band draws, like legitimately. You know, there's times where I see her in like California to like 100 people, and I was like, man, like, that's rough, you know. So you know, we put out a song like The House Always Wins, and it's all about that. And then, you know, in 2020, I definitely changed, you know, like I begrudgingly voted, and you know, I'm not very happy with a couple things that are going on now, and you know, whatever.
I'm really curious about what was it called? Was it called Good Night Alt Right? Is that
correct.
right?
Yeah.
Because that song got so much backlash from the right that I was kind of I was wondering if, were you worried? Were you getting death threats or people? I mean, was that happening to you?
It was. Okay, so Good Night All Right. Yeah. So here's the thing. At the time, like, we're, you know, in the metal hardcore world, like our band is pretty notable, I guess you want to say. Like, we do well. But like we didn't think it would go off into like such a huge you know, like
It was huge.
it got massive. Yeah, like we were getting hit up by like CNN and shit or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, we made a song. It's Good Night Alt Right, and you know, it's about like fuck racism and fuck Nazis, and like we didn't think that would be very controversial, and yet it was. And you know, we were like the very first kind of thing where that happened, where like, you know, now like those whole like, oh, the right is they're all attacking, you know, fill in the blank person, whatever. It's like it's nothing now. Like now it's a common thing, so it doesn't matter. But at the time, like I'd never seen that before. I certainly didn't expect it. You know, and like, you know, Richard Spencer, who was like the leader of the all right or the head of it or whatever you call it, or one of the big push, like we mentioned him by name in the song.
Yeah.
And he heard it and he tweeted it out like, oh, go get these guys or whatever. And then it just
They
fucking
did.
it went nuts. So at the time, I mean, it was definitely kind of like scary because like also the people that did support us and did back us were like, whoa, this is fucking scary. What is this? They didn't want to like come to our help. So we almost had like no help, you know? And then like we had, and all these people, you know, like if I tell you like, hey, Carrie, I'm going to kill you, you're going to be like, okay, Tom, no, you're not. But then if I tell you that like 20,000 times, you're going to start being like, fuck, is he going to kill me? You know, you start to kind of think that stuff. But, you know, and then the one thing that would be like, okay, we advertise where we're going to be, in what state, in what city, at what venue, at what time,
Right.
you know, like everywhere. So, oh, you want your chance? Here, you can come get it, you know, like, but they didn't do shit. They didn't do anything. So,
Really? No altercations, nothing.
oh, zero. You know, so, and we never really backed down, you know what I mean? Like, I would say that like when they were coming at us, we weren't giving it back because we were just kind of like, you know, if someone's talking to a wall, they're not going to talk to a wall for too long because we weren't even just going to respond. You know, our message was out. Like people were like, give us a response. Like, give us your statement. I'm like, song is a fucking statement, bro.
Yeah,
You know what
listen
I mean?
to the song. I mean, we said it all. Thank you very much.
Exactly. And it's like, you know, I didn't think this was controversial. You know what I mean? Like, oh wow, fuck racism and fuck Nazis. Like, if you don't back that, then fuck you, you know?
Why go political though in your lyrics? Because the band didn't start out that way. So why, what made you guys change to write these statements? Because it's not just about alt-right. You've talked even about the pendulum swinging so far left, so far right that why can't we all like get in the middle somewhere and figure this out, people? So why, I mean, in my opinion, that's really what the message of your whole band is to shed light on things like abuse and but and shed light on that the alt-right is like they might as well put on the Nazi armband. So why did you do this?
I mean, I think it just all comes with getting older. I mean, so I'm talking 2008, so I was 20, 21. And you know, like we start talking about the things that are affecting us at 21, which, you know, weren't police brutality. It wasn't the political climate stuff. And you know, we would just talk about whatever was affecting us at that time. And you know, which we were very much into like religious abuse, you know what I mean? Stuff like that, you know. So we kind of started with that, and then you find out like, you know, it's kind of fucked up that these cops do all the shit and then they don't pay for it, you know. We're like, so we'll start writing about that. And we wrote about it in more of a like lighthearted manner with the song called Badge and a Bullet, which was like the song that kind of made us, you know, that kind of put us on the map.
Right.
And so we start talking about that. And you know, but again, it was more of like a lighthearted, like, oh, you're a punk, like, you know, fuck you, you know. It was like kind of like that. And then we did a Badge and a Bullet part 2 on our 2015 record, and that was more of like, you know, we put out the music video, and at the end of the music video it was like, you know, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, Walter Scott, and Tamir Rice, and we like name them. We like put them in the video. We're like, these are just some of the fucking, you know, casualties at the hands of the police, and there's more every year. And we like put that, and everyone was like, wait, what are you saying? Like they all kind of freaked out. But you know, like
Ahead of your time.
yeah,
Like,
a little bit, because at the time, like again, we're like, I'm like, why is this controversial? Like, why are we getting shit for stuff? Because a lot of people don't like to get their boat rocked, and they don't like to, you know,
Have it in their face.
exactly. Yeah, like people do like to run from it, but that's changed. It's definitely very different now. Like in 2016 or 2015 when this came out, like it wasn't, I don't want to call it popular because, you know, but it wasn't like a pop culture thing to know, or like it wasn't as relevant as it is today. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you've seen what happened in Los Angeles yesterday, but like someone getting shot with a rubber bullet 3 feet away at point blank range with their hands up saying, don't shoot, and they're a medic and they get shot in the chest. It's like, this is now, it's like, you can't run from it. That's something that, like, a video like that gets a couple million views in a couple hours.
Right.
And people are very angry at this stuff, as we've seen over this past, year. So, the Stray is always an extremely angry, polarizing, confrontational band. And, the way I look at it is Rage Against the Machine, they were like this. And when I'm a kid and I like it, I didn't even really know, you know what I mean? Like, their popular song, one of their popular songs is like, there's a lyric in it that, like, when I'm 13 and listening to it, it doesn't hit me. But like, when he says, like, weapons, not food, not homes, not shoes, not need, just feed the war cannibal, eye, like, he says that in a popular song. And I just sing it because it's popular. But then I grow up, I'm like,
Whoa.
weapons, not food, not homes, not shoes, not need, just feed the war cannibal. And there's another song that they put out called No Shelter, which was there was the Godzilla movie back in the day. And on this Godzilla soundtrack was like Foo Fighters, the Wallflowers, Puff Daddy and Jimmy Page, and Green Day, and all these big acts. And then they were on it. And then in their song, which I can't believe they put on the soundtrack, he would say, Coca-Cola was back in the veins of Saigon. In Rambo 2, he's got a dope pair of Nikes on. Godzilla, pure motherfucking filler. Keep your eyes on the real killer. Cinema, simulated life, ill drama, whatever. And then the chorus was, or like the main part was, Americanized, view the world through American eyes, bury the past, rob us blind. Like, this was on the Godzilla soundtrack.
On the movie.
Yeah, on the Godzilla movie, they say Godzilla, pure motherfucking filler, keep your eyes on the real killer. And then it says, like, the thin line between entertainment and war. And like, this is stuff that I hear at the time and it doesn't hit me. And then as I grew older, like, the thin line between entertainment and war, because like, the thing is, like, now, and there's a song on our new record about this too, where everyone's like, oh, like, the shut up and dribble thing with LeBron, and the keep the kneeling out of, like, Colin Kaepernick, and like, keep politics out of sports, keep politics out of music, keep politics out of movies. Everything is political. Everything. And it's political when, like, oh, you want to keep politics out of sports? Why do I stand for the national anthem? Why do they do something for the military? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's all political stuff that people don't realize. And it's all stuff that's just put in your faces, so it's like, it is political. Everything's
It's been
political.
done for so long, people never questioned.
Exactly.
know?
So that's like, so anyway, what I was saying about, like, why we talk about this stuff is, like, if someone gets into our band and they get into it because the music is sick, because I also, like, I do care about that greatly, where I'm like, I want to push, like, the boundaries of our, space, and make sure our music is exciting, because I care about that equally as the message or whatever. But we do like to set an example and talk about stuff that we feel is real and stuff that we care about. And sometimes people get into our band, just like I did for Rage, and then they don't notice what we're talking about until a couple years later. And sometimes that goes very badly for us or very good for us. And, in other places, like outside of America, like, people agree with everything we talk about, which is why we start to get bigger in other places than we do in America, where it's like, we play Denver, which I guess is a kind of a more left-leaning city, and we do really well. And then we go to Dallas and it sucks. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's just kind of the stuff that we have to deal with, which is fine. And that's something that we take on, but we like to set an example and, like, raise money when we can to help people, or, like, we've gone to, like, Africa before with 2 different organizations, and, like, helped raise money to, to help people out. Like, like, there's definitely more we can do, where I wouldn't say that, like, we're the fucking, gods of activism or like that. You know what I mean? Like, we still, like, again, I work in music. Like, I have a family. Like, I can't.
No, but you did a lot. You did a lot during the pandemic too. I mean, like, you were selling merch and stuff to raise money for BLM and for all these other things. So I thought that was actually really inspiring and really cool that you guys did that.
And that's the thing is, like, even we did, like, we raised like $20,000, and for a organization called Reclaim the Block that takes their money, and this was for Minnesota, and they take the money and they just reinvest it into the community. You know what I mean? So that's like what I'm interested in. And but again, like we're just putting a T-shirt out there, and really like it's our fans that are our supporters that they carried it. You know, we just paint a fucking T-shirt. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like we want to set by example, but it's like we're not really doing that much. There's people that are doing way more than we are, you know, but it's like if we can be a form of like some kid that like, oh, this band is sick, and then they find out like, oh man, they're talking about that, they're talking about this, they're talking about that, and like that helps them to kind of be pushed into a direction in which I think is right, then cool. You know what I mean? And then sometimes they completely oppose us, and then they say fuck this band forever. That also happens.
Sure.
And it just kind of comes with the territory. But it's just like, you know, that's just what like I get so frustrated about stuff like this, like social and political, you know, stuff, that when we write lyrics, like and especially with our band, it's being so angry and angsty, whatever. I want to be like, fuck all of this, fuck this guy, fuck that, you know, person, like whatever. So I don't know.
Well, is that why indie music, what I read that you are leaning more towards that now these days? Is that why? Is that an outlet for peace and calm for you?
I don't know, because like let's say for Tradewind, because you know Jesse is also, and he's probably more far left than I am, and not probably, definitely is, and you know, like that the record is called, you know, it's like if you hear it, it's very sweet and like Bon Iver, like Radiohead kind of like chill vibes, but like the record is called The Day We Got What We Deserved, and like, you know, die, yeah, like that. I remember he sent us that, we're like, bro, he sent us that, he's like, hey, I wrote the song, like whatever, and we're like, I literally text him like, did you write this for your other band? You sent it to the wrong group chat, you know, like, but like, you know, then you hear the song and I'm like, man, this song is very nice, like you know, it's very good, it makes me kind of feel good, but then you listen to the lyrics and you're like, holy crap, like this is like, you know, it's very intense. So even in indie music, I do kind of feel that. I mean, but it's definitely a different outlet for me. I guess, you know, but like even like I started listening to this artist yesterday. I've literally known them for 48 hours, and they're called Clyro. I don't know if you've ever heard them, but like so good and like young. I hope I'm not assuming, but female, like that is just like they have this song called Alewife. That's like the first song on their record, and it's just miserable in like the nicest way. And it's like, you know, they're talking about how like they were in a bad head space mentally, and like they were going to do something to themselves that night, like, and then they're singing to someone, they're like, you really stopped me from doing something to myself that night. That's an actual lyric from it. I was like, man, this is so good too. So it's like this it's weird how sometimes the message fits the mood of the music, but like for Tradewind, it kind of doesn't. Where it's like we're singing all this, like if you hear "Die Die Die" from
I
Tradewind,
listened to it today and I thought, what are they saying?
Yeah, I had to go Google lyrics to a couple of them. I was like, wait a minute, wait. I got to see what are they talking about? Yeah.
But
I've made like you'll say like I've made my mind. It's me or my, or it's die die die, and it's just like that's Jesse being like, you know, because he's very involved in his community, and like he does like mutual aid stuff, and you know, like feeding homeless people and houseless people, and you know, getting them the stuff that they need, and like, you know, like his whole thing is just like that. It's like, if you're not going to do shit for me, then fuck you, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to help us what I can, and like, you know, so he puts that like kind of mood, but it fits the song. Like if you listen to the song, like if like a completely like unaware, like put the song on and it's nice out, it's like a song you drive to with the windows down and it feels good, you know, like, but like the lyrics are miserable, you know what I mean? So it's
watch the video.
What's up?
And watch the video.
He's killing us. Yeah.
But look at what would we do? Let us think this pandemic, if we didn't have the arts, if we didn't have this medium, if the government didn't support arts, which
they don't,
you know,
they literally don't.
What outlet would people have for all of their thoughts and feelings and emotions and aggressions or happiness or all of that? And I wish that the governments around the world, not just US, would realize that the arts are our way of releasing all of this anger and aggression or happiness or emotions,
Yeah.
and that we're important.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because one of the three of us said it like a while ago and we kind of didn't touch on it. And this is what I want to get to. It is, and I'm not trying to complain again because it's like I love what I do and I do it regardless of money. Having said that, like I unfortunately live in a capitalist society where it's like it's needed to do shit. Now I have a daughter and family and stuff like that. So it's like sometimes you need to think about money. But I've never make decisions based on money. I never write a song based on money. I just do it. And I just got lucky that other people can resonate with it. But you know, I like Spotify pays 0.004 per stream. And it's like that is nothing. Like it is literally nothing. And so it's like, and that's where the majority of people take in their music now is from Spotify. And I'll get paid fucking literally nothing from this. And and I was even talking about this like a couple days ago with our producer and our producer's wife who works in digital music, and she works with like massive artists. Like I think she works with two, and it's Bad Bunny and BTS, who are two of the biggest bands right now in the world or artists in the world.
Wow.
And I forgot. So we were just talking about how insane it is that how little everyone gets paid, and she brought up, oh, they're actually working on this thing called Spotify Discovery, which a band can forfeit their royalties in order for better placements. And and more, yeah, no, it's they're just looking for ways to pay you less than what they're already paying you. And whether that gets off the ground or not, like I don't know, but
It's frightening.
It's crazy. And it's like, and then our producer was like, if if Stray was as popular as they are now 25 years ago, like you would be in a way different like financial spot, like way different. And because like people were charging, I mean, $12 to $20 for a compact disc,
Right.
that cost 50 cents to make.
Right.
So like, and that's why like that shit got so out of hand, is because they were price gouging everybody.
Right.
And and then people were like, oh, I could spend less than I've spent on one CD for every record ever made
Right.
at on demand. And then everyone could say like, oh, well, with the streaming stuff, then your band wouldn't be as big, which that could be true. I don't really know, because to be honest, we for the longest time never been in magazines, never got on the radio, like nothing. Like we made our career off of touring and off of having a fun live show and being interactive with our fucking supporters. Like that's how I feel like we've made it. I mean, it's hard to speculate whether it would be good or not. But
But for instance, the largest opera house in the United States, in New York City, the Metropolitan Opera,
sure.
they have not raised the top fee for us artists in 20 years.
Oh,
How can we keep doing what we're doing without I mean, housing prices have gone up, food prices have gone up, travel has gone up, but yet we're still capped at a stupidly low amount.
yeah. I don't know. It's because, yeah, I guess because we're all stupid and we'll all do it. We'll all just keep doing it.
Well, that's where I just kept with all the negotiations that happened with the Met for pay cuts and all that kind of stuff. I just kept thinking, no one is realizing that the power actually lies within the artist. And if everyone banded together, that's where the difference can be made. But I don't know if actually everybody could band together. I wondered through the pandemic. At first it was 24 hours and I thought, no, let's make it a damn week. Like, if you remove music from the world for a week, how would everybody react to that? And I mean, that's music in television, in movies, I mean, your daily
Elevators.
life, your news, when you listen to your news, there's music behind that. And so can you remove that? And then would everybody actually think that this really is important? And so I don't know, it bothers me to hear that about Spotify, because it's the same thing with what we're going, it's very parallel, where we have given our power away, period. It's gone. And the only way to get that back is if somehow we all band together and say enough is enough, because
and they know, like, because it's like, okay, Spotify is going to pay you this, and we're going to work on paying you nothing just for more exposure. And it's like, okay, oh, Spotify hasn't made a profit. Really? How much is the fucking owner of Spotify worth?
yeah,
The opera house is charging more for their tickets.
Correct. There
We're
you go.
not getting more
But
money.
you're not getting more. There was right during the pandemic. So we were supposed to do a tour in May of 2020, and they were trying to plan to move it, and they go, hey, we're gonna move it to the fall. And we're like, okay, cool, we're in. They're like, yeah, but the deal's probably gonna change for your money just because everyone's got to play ball. It's like, so we're really got to work together, makes work. I'm like, yeah, no problem, that's cool. And they're like, okay, so it's moving here, and here are the dates. I was like, wait, we're playing the same venues? Yes. Is the capacity size downsized? No. Okay. Are the ticket sales cheaper? No. I was like, okay, at a certain amount of tickets sold, do we get our original fee? They're like, no. And I was like, okay, so why are we getting a reduction? Oh, because of COVID and whatever. I was like,
Oh,
this doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, so we literally said, like, we're out, like, goodbye.
hi,
The tour never happened anyway, but we're just like, no, fuck that, like, so again, like you said, it all comes down to the fact that, like, no matter what, the workers are getting exploited. And I made a video that was like kind of a joke, but it's serious. Like, and I reference Always Sunny in Philadelphia now for the third time on this. But there's an episode for anyone who's listening that does see it. There's an episode where Danny DeVito, who plays Frank Reynolds, is stuck in a coil at like a children's park, and he's explaining how a pyramid scheme works to the rest of the guys, and he says, like, oh, what it is where all the dickheads in the bottom do all the work, and then all the smart people at the top make money. So, like, there was like a thing with two guys from Spotify, and they're like, oh, let us tell you how royalties work. And then I put that clip in, and I was like, and then everyone's like, oh, this is funny. I was like, yeah, it's funny, but it's also serious. Like, we're the ones, like I'm the one that fucking kills writing these songs. You guys are the ones that are out there fucking, like, doing your thing at like at a elevated level. And it's like, take you out of the equation, take me out of the equation. Then what? What the fuck does Spotify have to do? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
but they're the ones that keep making the money. And then we're the ones that are fucking at 6:59 a.m. calling unemployment, and I'm still getting nothing.
yeah.
So it all comes down to that we we literally work in a system that just is not fit for the working class, and the working class is the one that makes the whole fucking world go round.
You and Cher were so congratulations on the birth of your daughter, born in 2021. So exciting. Has that changed how you look towards your business and the music that you write and the music that you want to sing and play and perform, I guess?
It definitely just affects the schedule of it, but I feel like that would have changed regardless of her being born. I think because we literally toured full time from 2008 until 2019, or I would say January of 2020 was the last thing we did in Australia. We toured for, so what is that, 12 years?
yeah.
Non-stop. Like, we didn't do less than 6 months a year.
Okay.
So we were like burnt. So honestly, the pandemic was good as far as like, it was definitely depressing for a long time, where like none of us knew if it was coming back. What am I going to do? Like, what do I have without music? Because I was literally like, what do I have without music? I literally
Right.
and like, or even like my drummer going through like crazy stuff in his life, and like my singer moving to France and getting a girlfriend in France, and like all this, like, we felt like everyone was getting new things, and it was like, man, are we done? Like, we had so much more to do and all that stuff. But then we all started to kind of snap out of it a bit and come back. But then we were just like, man, I value my time at home more, and I don't need to go play the Lawrence, Kansas to fucking nobody.
Okay.
Or people that don't like us, and
Right.
I don't need to do I don't mean to single out Lawrence, Kansas by exit, because that's actually a beautiful city. But I'm like, like, there's just times where it's just like, okay, what did we make in merch today? Oh, $400, pay the merch bill, put gas in. Like,
Quality,
oh, so
not quantity.
what's up?
Quality, not quantity.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, we were doing 175 shows a year. Let's do 75 and tell everyone that we're doing 75. Let's do one US tour a year, not 3. And then, like, when we do a European tour, we do it big, and we don't do it as often. And like we will come and do festivals when we can. And so it affected that. But as far as like, I mean, the music only got meaner even after my daughter was born. And
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Yeah, that was okay.
I mean, it's not going to change that because
Okay.
like stuff is so awful, and like that's how I deal with it. So
Okay, cool.
you know,
Love it.
my life is not awful, but like life is awful, you know. So it's like that's how I deal with it. But
Cathartic. That's what I find going on stage is cathartic
right.
because I'm a very happy person, but I love suffering on stage.
Yeah, okay. Respect. Honestly, yeah, that's good. Like
Yeah.
I like
That's
that.
awesome.
I'm the same. I'm the same way of like making like miserable music, even though I don't feel like I'm a miserable person. You know what I mean? Like I'm very fortunate for the life I have, but I mean, maybe I feel that way because I have the music where I could feel horrible and the music where I could feel angry. Like, so if I didn't have that, like,
There you go.
Okay, we do this with all of our guests. We have rapid fire. So it's like boom, boom, boom. Let's see how fast you can answer these questions.
Can I start? Can I start? Can I start today, Carrie?
Yeah, go ahead. Are you ready for this, Tom?
let's go.
What's your favorite thing to do in your free time?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I play ice hockey every Sunday, every Monday. I have two teams, Eastside Hellhounds and the Honey Badgers. One I skate with. My cousin's on the team, who's like my cousin's like a brother to me. And then the Badgers, I play goalie. To me, that's seeing my therapist where I go, I play for an hour, and I don't think about my band. I don't think about my wife, my daughter, my fucking finances, my whatever. I think about putting the puck in the net, nothing else. And that's like how I clear my head. So playing hockey.
That's awesome. Okay, what is the craziest rumor that you've heard about yourself?
Fuck. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if
okay, then I'm gonna ask you this.
Okay.
What is your no fail motivational song?
There's a song called Be Quiet and Drive from the Deftones. I don't know what that is, like if that's the right answer, but that's my song. That's like I put it on, I feel good. And like I don't know, whenever I need to just feel good about anything, I put that song on. I don't even know why.
Cool. Love it.
Right.
Last celebrity or person that you freaked out about meeting?
Gordon Ramsay. And that was from Sherilyn set that up. She did the hair of the head of Fox for like whatever. We lived in LA. And for my birthday, she's like, oh, I'm taking out for sushi. I was like, all right, cool. And then we showed up and it was like, we pull into a lot. And then I was like, wait, what is happening here? Like, oh, we're going to, he had a show called The F Word for a little bit. And we're like, we're going to that. And we're like, no fucking way. And like, so we got to, and no one else got to talk to this dude except for me and Sherilyn. And like literally set it up. And like, it was like literally like a NASCAR pit stop. And it was like, okay, all right, Gordon's gonna be out here in a second. You gotta be ready to meet him. I'm like, oh, sure, like cool. And they came over and he was like, all right, you're Dana's friends. And we're like, yeah, like he's like, cool. He's like, nice to meet you all. Like, oh, it's your birthday. I was like, yeah. I was like, hey man, I was like, I look up to you a lot, man. You're a fucking inspiration. Like the way because I love like Kitchen Nightmares and like all the stuff like he does, like the way he even approaches like inspiring people and like getting the best out of people, like that's kind of my shit. And I was just like, man, I was like, I love everything you do, like you're the fucking man, whatever. And it's not like I was like, oh my god, but it was just what freaked me out was just like he goes like this, he did this, he crossed fingers, he goes, I'm nothing without my team. And I was like, this fucking guy's the best. And I was like, can we take a picture? He's like, we got to do it really quick. We take a picture, and he's like, all right, have fun. And he left. And it was like 20 seconds, but like that. And now that's like one thing I take like moving forward is like even the bands I manage or whatever. Like this thing, fingers crossed. Like I'm nothing without my team. Like I'll always remember. And it was like the coolest fucking thing. And he was so awesome and nice, and so I love him.
Cool. Well, we love Gordon Ramsay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it my turn?
Your turn.
Do you have a secret talent?
Oh, I don't think so, or else I would have exploited it. I mean, I'm pretty good at poker, I guess. I mean, actually, you know what? As a secret talent, from like age 17 to 20, I was a poker dealer in like underground card rooms in Long Island. And like, so anytime, like if I play a card game, like now with my friends and it's like, oh, it's my turn to shuffle. Like, it's like and they're like, what the fuck? And I was like, I used the deal. You know what I mean? So it's like, so I'm very good card dealer.
Okay, I read that you actually turned like $6 into $6,000.
Sherilyn was there. It sounds crazy. So what happened was it was at a house party. I was at a house party and we were like young, 17. And this is like kind of how I got into dealing at these clubs because my friend was dealer there. So I had $6 in my pocket. And one of my best friends to this day, James, was playing. He was housing blackjack at this house party. I turned $6 into $200, and then I literally said to Sherilyn, I was like, "Listen, I'm so lucky and hot right now. I got to go play cards." And she was so mad at me, so I dropped her off. And then I went to like midnight. I go to play cards, and I like show up at a poker room, and they're playing a game called Omaha, which is like Texas Hold'em, but you get 4 cards and whatever. Anyway, I've never played it before, but I knew how to play. And they're like, "Do you want to sit in?" I was like, "You know what? Fuck it, I'll sit in." Like I'm still hot. And I turned $200 into $3,000. And then I tipped my friend who was a dealer 200. So I had $2,800. Then I go home. It's like 5 a.m. and I wake Sherilyn up and I literally like threw money at her on the bed. I was like, "Get up, we're going to the diner." Like that. So like we get it. She's like, "What happened?" I was like, "I just won all this money." She was crazy. So we go there, and then I bought $100 worth of scratch offs. I tipped our waiter $100. We did the scratch offs, lost on all of them. So I was like, "I'm done." I was like, "I'm cold. I'm officially cold." But like, yeah, that was like one thing. Like I'm also like good at like blackjack, and like there's another thing we were on tour in Florence, Indiana. And we stayed at a casino with 2 of the other bands on tour. And I took $500 and I'm playing blackjack with one of my friends in another band. And I lost all of it. And I was like, "All right, I'm done." So I was going back to my room and I saw another blackjack table with all of my friends at it with an open chair. And they're like, "Oh, come sit, come sit." I was like, "Fine." I was like, they're playing low stakes. I was like, I went up to my room, grabbed another $200. I was like, "I'm just going to fuck around. I'm not going to try to make money or lose any." So I'm sitting there, I'm having fun, but then I'm like starting to get a little lucky. And I'm like, "All right, cool." And then they all went to bed. I was like, I got my $500 back. I was like, "I'm gonna go play a little bit." So I go, and there's a blackjack table next to 3 of my other friends that are, and one of them being our merch person and my bass player, and then another person from another band. And they're at a roulette table, and next to that was a $50 minimum blackjack table. So I was like, "All right, I'm in there." So they're watching, and at this time it's like 4 or 5 in the morning, so it's just the 3 of us up. And I'm just like on fire. I'm like, now I'm up like $2,500. And at one point, what they were hand shuffling the deck, and when they would hand shuffle, you'd take a break. So there was one point I was up $2,550. So I took the $50 and I go to the roulette table, which was right next to ours where my friends are at, and the ball's spinning. And I just saw red 3 and I put $50 on red 3 and hit red 3. And then, so that was another $1,800 something. I tipped the dealer $50. I go back to my table. I put $50 on a blackjack bonus thing, which is like, if you get 2 cards that are the same and then your dealer gets the same, you get paid 50-1. I just put $50 on that. The dealer gives me immediately 2 4s, and then he shows a 4. Boom, another $2,500. I get up to $14,000 at this point, and I am.
Jerry, we need to go play with him.
I know.
I am screaming in this. Like, I'm going crazy. And then, so what happened was, then I lost like $1,000, like really fast. I was like, "All right, I'm done." So I took the 13,000. I put 10 in my pocket, and I said, "These 3,000. I'm going to try to win another 7 because I want to win 20." Because again, I just went up, and then I lost it all really fast. I was like, "All right, whatever, I'm done."
See,
I won 10 grand. And the next day I was like, we had to leave for the show. I was like, "Listen, guys," I was like, at the time I had Citibank. I was like, "There's no Citibank for like the next week. I got to go to a bank and open an account because I can't just have $10,000 cash with me." So anyway, that's another thing. So I guess that's
your secret talent.
I guess
That's
so.
huge. Yep.
all right. Well, I'm going to ask it. I'm going to mix it up, and I'm going to ask the next one.
All right.
What is your favorite swear word in any language? And I have a feeling we both know what that is.
Fuck. It just feels so good. I can't stop to, because it's just like every time I'm like, "Oh, this fucking guy over here. Like, what the fuck? Are you kidding?" Like, I just, can't take the New York.
You can use it as anything, noun, a verb, that fucker, fuck this.
Positive, negative, like nothing, neutral. Like, it's just like, "Oh, this fucking charger over here is like, it's not working." Oh, what do you want to grab my fucking charger? Like, "This fucking charger over here is like, oh, this fucking charger's awesome." Like, it uses all of it. You know what I mean? So like,
it's true. It's our favorite cuss word of anybody. So.
Okay, now if that's the first word your daughter says, I think you might be in a little bit of trouble.
I get that all the time. I was like, I'll tell you this though, it's just like, I try to pull back, but
It just happens.
she'll say it eventually.
We'll say it eventually. Okay.
Gary?
Last question. If heaven exists, what do you want to hear God say as you walk through the pearly gates?
You have talked much shit about me, but I'm gonna let you in anyway.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fucker. Come on in.
This fucking guy, the guy that talks so much shit about me. All right, I'll let you in, but fuck you.
There you go.
I go, I was wrong.
That's
I was
it.
wrong this whole time.
Well, thanks a lot for joining us.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a lot
It's
of fun.
very interesting. I mean, Carrie and I coming from our musical background, and to hear somebody else's story, it's really fascinating. So thanks.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry I talk so much.
I love it.
Hey, that's our work, right?
Yeah.
No, I just, it's fascinating. It's interesting. And I love the parallels in our careers. And I love that at the heart of all of it is how much we love it, how much we are willing to sacrifice and give for the love of it. And also how grateful I think we all are for the talents that we have to be able to do it. So, and to make a living and keep a roof over our heads doing it. So
Absolutely. Because the thing is like, even though all the stuff I mentioned sucks for all three of us, like I know there's people out there that would just trade with me in a second. And I wouldn't trade it all either. You know what I mean? Like we're definitely treated unfairly, but like there's a lot of people out there that have given me a very fortunate life that I'm in debt for them forever.
Yeah.
So like the things where it's like I have to miss the burial of 3 out of my 4 grandparents and the amount of my wife's birthdays and my own birthdays and
right.
my mom's birthdays, my dad's birthday. Like I miss them all for them, but they've given me more than I could ever give back. So it's definitely give or take, give and take. But yeah, like you said, I'm just fortunate for it. And like, yeah, I have problems, but like my problems aren't actual problems. You know what I mean? Like other people have, other things, but
yeah,
whatever I can do, I do it. I don't even know.
Love it.
Really well said. Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Hopefully
Tom.
we get to
Thank you
meet
both
you
for having me.
someday in
Oh, yeah,
person. I get to.
I want to go to, I'm telling you, both of you, like I need to go to your shows whenever they're happening. I'm there.
And
like,
we
I
need
don't
to
know
go to
shows I
yours.
want to go to. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
It's gonna
We'll do a trade. Yeah, we'll hook each other up and we'll make that happen. Well, I'm sure
I
we'll
love
both see some shit that we've never seen before. You know what I mean? So that's what's special is like such like crazy extremes of like opera and like metal. Like I'm gonna experience like something I've never experienced before, and I feel like you guys would too. So it's like we got to make it happen.
I think you need some.
lessons.
Yeah, and I think you need some operatic sounds in your metal. I mean, it might change your world, man. It might change your life.
I would love that. That'd be awesome.
Good job, Carrie.
Hell yeah.
Nice meeting you. Thank you.
Cool. Have a good weekend, guys.
All right, thanks, you too.
All right, bye.
Bye.